Hi everybody, this is Bruce Clayhorse Music in Boise. Today we're going to talk about the blues scale. Now I know what you're thinking, what's new about the blues scale? But we have one specific objective today, and that is to find one or two notes that we can interject into our blues scale that we're playing for a song that will give it a little bit different flavor and a little bit of uniqueness, so that it won't be just the standard blues scale, it will be just slightly enhanced. Now your ear will pick this up very quickly, subconsciously maybe on the part of your listeners who really don't know the music theory behind it, but they'll still pick up that you're doing something different that's very colorful and unique, and it kind of makes it your own. Now, just because we have found one or two notes that we can add to our solo or our lead parts for the blues doesn't mean that the more notes we add, the better. There is nothing further from the truth. With the blues, less is more. So I will also show you how introducing too many notes into the blues scale pretty much waters it down to where it loses its basic character and it just doesn't feel like the blues anymore. So let's get started out by laying down a backing track. This is going to be the chord progression for The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King. But we're just going to use that as a good example of something that will give us an opportunity to find a couple of extra notes to add to the blues scale that makes it very unique for that chord progression. So let's get started. The second time I played through that lead part, were you able to pick up and detect the notes that were outside of the pentatonic or blues scale? And if so, how did you feel that they impacted the lead part? Do you think they made the lead sound a little bit more melodic, or maybe a little bit more unusual or unique, all of the above? So let's talk a little bit about what those notes are and where they fall within the realm of the normal or familiar blues scale. We're going to be working in the key of B minor. So up here on the 7th fret, we have a B minor here like this, and then we have an E minor, which is our minor 4, and then we have a sharp 5, which is a G, and then our 5, G flat, like that. And that's where we're going to find those notes. But first let's talk about the pentatonic scale. In the 7th fret position, actually this would be, if we talk about a B minor pentatonic, this is the first position of it, and we have 5 positions that we can play in various places on the neck. So we're going to use that first position, and we're going to use the position underneath it right before we get up to that, which would actually be the 5th position. We're going to just play the 4 top strings. That gives us that kind of stuff. And we're also going to play position above that, the 2nd position, which is going to give us some nice upper register notes. So that's the whole range of the scale we're going to be playing in the pentatonic, but we're going to be using some blue notes in there. So we're going to be playing technically the blues scale. Where do those blue notes show up? Well, they show up between the third and the fourth notes of a pentatonic scale. So if you just say 1, 2, 3, then between 3 and 4, there's going to be a blue note. And then 5, 1, 2, 3, blue note, 4, 5. And we're not going to call that blue note the fourth note and then shift everything up to where we have 6 note or anything like that, because that just causes massive confusion. We also start treading on some very thin ice in terms of music theory, because, you know, are we talking about intervals or what are we talking about here? So it gets really confusing. So I like to keep it real simple. Say a pentatonic has 5 notes as per definition, penta, and that a blues scale is a pentatonic scale with 1 additional note which falls between the third and the fourth note of the pentatonic scale. So if we use the straight pentatonic scale as our baseline, it makes it a whole lot easier to understand when we find a note or play a note that's not within the normal parameters of a blues or pentatonic lead part. The pentatonic scale is based on a minor scale. It's just cherry picking 5 notes out of the minor scale, which would in this case be this. Now, the pentatonic scale lies within those notes that I just played, and it has a completely different character and a different flavor. So we have to be careful about adding too many notes, because we can water it down and basically destroy it to the point where it doesn't sound like blues anymore. It sounds more like jazz or pop or something else. So let's look at the lead parts. That's what I played the first time through. Now that's straight pentatonic with 1 blues note, that bend. That's all straight pentatonic, a blues note. The second time I played it through like this, that note, as you probably can detect, that is not within the pentatonic scale. That's within, of course, it's within the Aeolian scale, but it's not within the pentatonic scale. So we've added that note to give it a little bit of flavor. Then later on, when we go, that's all straight pentatonic. That's the first time we played it through. The second time it went like this. So we added that note is different, and then that note is different, and that note is different. Now, when we look at the upper portion of this straight pentatonic, what we've done, if we go, we have flatted that note, and if we go, we have sharp that note. So we go, part of that is, so there's 2 notes that we've added, and that's it. A lot of times what happens though is that you'll play one of those notes and it'll recalibrate your ear, kind of set a different reference point, and it sounds like there's a lot of other unusual notes in there when they're not. Basically what's happening is you're just comparing those notes to what you just heard, which was outside the realm of the pentatonic scale. So where did those notes come from? Well, it's real simple. If we look at, remember when I played the second part of that rhythm track, I just played some 3-note chords. Well, if you look at those 3-note chords, you have your B minor here, then you have your E minor, like that. What happens now, if you look at your pentatonic scale, you can play your whole chord if you want to look at your pentatonic scale, and you see that all the notes of that B minor fall within that pentatonic. However, when you play your E minor, if you look down and you look at the pentatonic, you go, well, you know, that note's within the pentatonic and these notes are within the pentatonic, but that note is not. So we're going to use that note because that really gives us the feeling two places in that E minor chord and also in that G sharp chord. So remember I told you that having that unusual chord progression was really going to give us a leg up on making this sound kind of unique. So that's really neat. That note ties into two of those chords in the progression. Whereas normally it wouldn't. Normally you'd go to a 5 here, you wouldn't have that note. But here we have it twice. Then the other note that we use is based on your 5. It's going to give us that flatted note there. So that is actually a major 7th is what that is. And a major 7th always works as a kind of a lead into the beginning of the sequence again. So that's where we've gotten those chords. If you look at 3-note chord here, then like that's your E minor. Then you've got your G. There's our note that we're going to use. And that is your G flat. That note right there, we're used up here. That's where that note came from. That is not within the pentatonic scale. So we have that note and that note. So that's where we transpose those notes up here and used them here. And then that comes from just that. Sorry. So let me show you how you can over-water down by adding too many notes. There's another note here that's not in the scale. If we go to that 5 chord, the G flat, that note right there, if we played see, something like that, if we got that note in there, it's really weak. It sounds terrible. It sounds like it really pulls the rug out from under the whole punch of the song. So you don't want to use every single note that's available to you. You have to really listen to them and see if they give it some punch, or, you know, it's a double-edged sword. It can give it punch, it can also take away punch from it. So the first time it was just straight pentatonic. Second time through it was and then okay. So now what I'm going to do is go through the lead part with you again. Just if you liked any part of it that you want to learn, I just want to show you the fingering so that if you want to play around with it, you can. Okay, so let's do that now. So this first section is based on the pentatonic blues scale without any additional notes added. We're going to be working out of those positions that we had outlined before, largely home-based out of the first position of the B minor pentatonic, which is on the 7th fret. So we're going to work a little bit above it and a little bit below it. When we start out on the 9th fret on the 3rd string with this little staccato introduction, it goes like, so just, and then we go down to the 4th fret and we borrow the 3rd and 4th string and play this little riff. It's off a hammer off of the 4th string. And a pull off the 3rd, and then you end with a bend on the 3rd string. And it's all strictly between your first finger and your little finger. And then you go back up to the 9th fret on the 3rd string, but this time fret it with your ring finger so you can get this little slide in. And then the pentatonic aspect of the run here goes. That's off of the 4th string. 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, and then maybe a little filler if you want. You don't need it. And then up to the 1st string. 1, 3, 1, 3, bend. 1, 3, and then another little fill here, which off of the 4th string, 3rd finger. You do come down and hit. I said we didn't use the 5th string, but you will use it there if you want to use that fill. And then so you're up to the position above. Then, using that blues note, and we're going to start off on the blues note. And that's the whole first part. The second part has those 2 notes that are outside of the normal pentatonic blues scale. Okay, the first part of that's the same as we played the first time through. That then it changes, it goes. That note is one of our 2 notes that we've introduced. So if we go to the 7th fret on the 4th string, put your first finger there, and it goes 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1, 3. If you want the little fill there like we played the first time. And then we're up to the 10th fret position. So it's 10th fret position, we're on the 3rd string, 2nd finger, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then bar 2 to the 2nd string, and then little finger on the 3rd string, little chromatic run there. Slide down to the 7th fret, and then 2, 3, hammer. That's pretty much it for today. Hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you the next time. Take care now.